you have
silence?
in there? Did you write down what time you guys went in there? What time was that? 3:35.
There we go.
We will reconvene the special meeting of the Pinetop-Lakeside Town Council. I would entertain a motion on this item then. Vice Mayor?
I move that we appoint Christy Salskoff as the interim town manager.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Christy, thank you for stepping up and helping us with this role. We appreciate you. We'll move on then to item D2, which is discussion and update on the town manager hiring process and timeline. Stacy, while you're walking up here, I just want to thank Stacy for all her work on this. I know it's been a lot of back and forth with these candidates, assembling all the documents, and we appreciate you.
Learned a lot.
Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Councilman. We have decided to go with Top Search Recruiting, Jackie Benton. She provided us a lot of insight on what she does, and she's been working with the City of Flagstaff a lot. So what I had told her what we did, and she'll do, I'm going to say, a la carte. I've kind of told her what we've already lined out, what we've already done with the candidates, all of our advertising. And she's said, yep, she'll step in. She will help us screen the candidates. She can provide us with questions. She will take time, and once we have, I feel that we should narrow down the 25 candidates that we have. You've all reviewed them. I ask you to give me your top ones that you like. Some of them are not meet our requirements, so I think that we could narrow those down. And then she will take the top, and she will do a video conference with all of them. She says she spends about 2 hours with them, and that includes the paperwork and what she's going to do for us. And then she will provide us counseling on how to interview the finals. One thing she said that was very important is if we could set a time frame on when do we think we will interview the finalists, because that way when she's interviewing them, she can say, will you be available, because some of them are out of state, will you be available at this time, the week before Thanksgiving or maybe into December, when you guys want to set a time. And then sometimes that weeds out, and she said that happened really recently with a neighboring town. Some of the candidates could not meet the time frame, so it narrowed it down for them. So I guess tonight I did give you packets. The first one is if we want input from our businesses or our citizens that would give us some questions that they would like asked of our candidates. And then she would put those questions when she's talking to the candidates themselves on this form. And you'll see here like questions 1, 2, and 3. She really wants guidance on what our main initiative is. What are we looking for? And I kind of told her economic development. We're looking at their education and their experience. We would like to see municipal government experience. those are the high on the list. Those, she wants to know what categories she can focus on. And that's all. I told her I would like to get back with her. I will talk to her tomorrow, but I'd like to hear from you guys by, I'm hoping the end of the week on where direction you want to go and a timeline.
Okay, well, I think, this is a discussion agenda item, so I think that we should all, I read through this. I think we should all give some of our input now and
Right.
think about it a little bit further. I like the stakeholder survey,
I do too.
and I think that I don't know what everybody else's thoughts on how many people we should send that to, but I know I've talked with a number of people that I think would have good input into this. And I don't know if maybe each council member could give a few names.
Yep.
Maybe 4 names. That's going to get to be quite a big group. But just send it out in an email. Is that her thought?
Yes, I think that, it was my thought that if we send it out in an email, and then they could send it back. And, maybe we could invite the chamber, they would have the businesses. That way we'd have a well-rounded group.
And that's one that I had definitely thought about. So,
Are we talking about the survey or?
first of all, we have this survey. I don't know if you had a chance to just look at it. She
Yes.
just gave it to us now. But the stakeholder survey, and on the topics that they think are really key to characteristics that we want in this manager. I think it's important that we get community input. I don't know what other. Go ahead.
I would frankly love to see this go out. I think it'd be awesome to have Annie build a QR code and put this out digitally, put it on Talk of the Town, let people scan it with their phone. It looks like it'd take like 5 minutes to complete. And then we can get a broad spectrum. Like, we don't have to necessarily pick people, but anybody that's interested in giving some input could scan the QR code and do it.
That sounds like a lot.
Labor intensive.
I mean,
Great idea, but
I think it's a good idea, but I don't know.
And the response on that, if you've been talking to Annie on the response when we did our surveys, it would be great that if everybody that could scan that QR code, have that capability to do that.
There she
I
is.
would love to, yes. I was hoping that we could get Annie's input.
I can do that.
You can do
And
that?
now with AI, I can filter and condense that data way faster than I could 2 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good answer. Can we filter it by in-town residents or in-town businesses, or do we care that they're in town or out of town?
I think we'd prefer that they're in town.
And
too.
I think so.
I don't know, maybe Annie can,
Annie, can you hear us? Can you come back?
but I think that's a great idea to put it out like that.
And then they could put a note on there too, if they want to come in and get one or have me email them, I can do that too.
Apologize for the wonky broadcasting.
Can we filter it, Annie, so that it just goes out to people who actually do live within the town?
So the minute you create a QR code or an active link, there's no stopping it. You can require some vetting information. You can require an address, a name of the business. They can lie, but it's some vetting.
Yeah, well, I'd say let's do that. Let's ask them for an address. We do want businesses, even if they don't live within the,
Sure.
but the businesses are here in town. We definitely want them. So, yeah, I would say let's do that.
Okay.
So what would be a timeline to get this out?
This.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I mean, today's Tuesday. I don't know, council members, do you have other thoughts on this that you would like to have included? Can we give a couple of days for all of us to digest this?
Absolutely. If you can digest it by Thursday or Friday, I can build it this weekend and we can launch it Monday.
I think that's a great timeline. Any other thoughts?
No, I think that's good, and I don't think we would need to leave it out very long, a week or so, is that?
At the most, because
Yeah.
we need to get moving on this, in my opinion.
No, I agree. So if it was out there for a week, Monday through Friday?
I would do Monday through the following Monday,
Monday,
just
okay.
weekends. Some people have more time for stuff like that. So at the very least, a Monday through a Monday.
So if we get it out on Monday, October 27th, and ask for all the responses by Monday, November 3rd, how long then would it take for you to assemble?
I would need a day.
That's all?
AI is amazing.
And then we could get that to Jackie the 5th?
Yeah.
Okay,
If you guys want to preview it before we turn it over, that would be up to, or I could give it to Stacy and to you all at the same time, your choice.
I think that's fine,
Okay.
yeah. And then as far as interviews, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone for dates. The Wednesday, the 5th, we would have all that assembled. Thanksgiving is the 27th. Would that be too aggressive of a timeline to start interviewing, I don't know, the week of the 17th? That's pretty quick.
Are we talking the council interviewing or Jackie interviewing?
Probably be the Jackie, I think. I don't know. I don't know that we can accomplish it.
I think,
Does this recruiter have a process or a timeline or something like that she could produce?
she told me she would spend about 2 hours with each employee or each candidate. And that if we give her some sort of timeline, then she's going to be gone the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of Thanksgiving. That's the only time that she couldn't do it. But if we can narrow it down to,
You're thinking 10 or
10, I'm thinking 10 candidates.
And then in the a la carte fashion, is she charging us by the hour?
Yes, she is. And she
what is
thought,
that number?
She thought with this, it would be about 40 hours, and that comes about $6,000.
How much?
$6,000
Just for that part of it?
for what she's doing with us now, weeding it out and interviewing all of them, and then giving us questions for the actual applicants.
I'm wondering if we couldn't just interview and not have to have somebody else do it for us. I mean, we're going to ultimately have to do that anyway. We have to make a decision.
Well, I feel, my personal opinion is with all of our divergent opinions, it's better for us to have an outsider guide us through this process so that we can keep some kind of focus. I think $6,000 is probably money well spent because this is probably one of the most important decisions we're going to be making here in the next near future.
Is that the total cost?
For that phase.
That's what she thought.
That's approximate.
That's approximate.
Yeah.
Might be on the high end.
I guess my question is, I love the idea of having a third party, but I also want more than just an interview. Like, I would love to see the candidates present on the Pinetop-Lakeside town budget or do something that they're going to do every day in their job so that we can see what each one of those candidates brings to the table. I don't know if an interview is going to be enough to bring out the things that you'd be looking for in a professional manager or CEO of the organization, as much as interacting with members of the public, presenting a topic that maybe is important to the town on top of the interview process that I think is important.
We had talked about doing a meet and greet, like maybe the night before we're going to interview the finalists, and you can have your community members and your businesses, and you could have it right here. Commander brought up in our directors meeting this morning, maybe doing speed dating, where you just kind of go through and you ask questions, each one. It could be a very casual, very, social gathering.
Well, and to your question about a presentation from each of the candidates, I think we could certainly include that in their interview. And we did that in a previous manager search, and I found it to be very interesting and enlightening, the topic that the individuals selected. They weren't necessarily anything that we asked them for. It's something that they came up with.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the first part of this, but are they bringing any more candidates to us, or are we just dealing with the 20 plus that we have?
That's correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
So my feeling is we've got to make this decision anyway, and I think Tabor's right. He's got questions he wants asked. I probably have questions I want asked. It seems like we could do that interview and not have someone else guide us through that. And we have to make that decision anyway. If they're not bringing candidates to us, I don't see where they bring a lot to the table to interview them for us and then send them to us to interview also. It's an outside opinion, but couldn't we get that with our, maybe our focus group or something too.
Well, and I don't know about the rest of the council, but I've spent some time looking at them and narrowed down to a few, not a few, down to less than half. I can't imagine that taking 40 hours. So I know that would maybe, she estimated that as a max, but at the same time, if we've narrowed it down to 10 or less, I'm willing to do that as well, especially with some of these, the stakeholder questions up front. It definitely personalizes the interview to have us interview them. And then secondly, just on this QR code, vetting the people who might do that, I think rather than putting their home address on, I think we could ask, do you live in the following zip codes, including out of town limits, because we are ultimately looking for the community support trust, whatever you want to call it, for these areas that could be annexed one day. And I think it would be nice to let them have, they know the concerns of the area. So I think that might be a way that we could vet them is, do you live in one of these zip codes? Yes or no? And then if they do, I personally would say that their opinion weighs in.
I don't know who all has looked at the resumes. I narrowed it down to 6. And I think you did too, didn't you?
Yeah, I've looked at them. I need to look at the last 3 that came in.
I haven't seen, maybe I haven't seen the last 3 that came in.
But
I had 6, and I think that's a manageable number for us to interview.
I would just say, I don't think 40 hours is, if it's down to 10, which is what we were kind of talking about here, I think 40 hours is probably pretty realistic. She spends 2 hours a piece on each of them just doing the interview itself. So that doesn't count the time to set those up or to then take the information you've gotten and cycle that through. So I would ask, are we willing to spend 40 hours doing that in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Because this is going to narrow it down to the few that we will then interview, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's correct.
I still think an outside person's perspective and just kind of taking maybe the common ones that I think if we all give Stacy our top choices, and there's going to be some commonalities there, clearly, I would think, and having somebody else vet those again and get some more detailed answers to some of these questions, I think there's a lot of value to that. I will do whatever everybody else wants to, of course, but...
And staff will do that also. We'll go whatever direction you want us to go. My opinion is that an outside person is valuable. 40 hours, maybe on the high side, but she does spend a lot of time. When we can direct her on what we're looking for, if you want her to have them do a presentation, we could do that. And then she will provide us, with scoring and how to make everything fair and legal. But we will do whatever you want.
I guess to some degree, I feel like I'm trying to make that decision in a vacuum. Like, does she have an a la carte menu that she could provide to us of exercises that she's done with candidates? Or, in my opinion, the whole reason for bringing somebody in from the outside is because maybe this group isn't well versed on hiring and vetting candidates for a position like that. And so I guess I only have the experience that I have testing for positions. I would sure like to know what she's offered or what she's seen that was successful in the past.
This is what she has done, and she has done for the City of Flag. She just did their HR director. Another company got a city manager for the City of Flagstaff. And the questions and stuff that she provided us is what she has pulled out of other jobs that she has done for this position. And she does, when I say a la carte, maybe that's bad, but an hourly rate. And then she has just went over and taken what we've done, what we want, and said, this is what about the average it would probably be for me. And we can set a cap. If we say, not to go over $6,000, then she'll put it that way.
Vice Mayor, you had something to say?
Did you have your hand up, Harry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We got to get more curvature in this dais here. I think the council and the mayor can come up with 10. We can agree upon 10. I think we might have a little trouble agreeing on the top 3, but I think we can agree on 10. I would propose that we don't give her 10, maybe give the top 6, our top 6,
Yeah.
and you can form that into a top 10. There are some candidates on paper, some applicants on paper that look really good until you start looking real close. And I guess what I'm trying to say is there are some specific questions that I would want to ask one or two of these applicants that I have in my top category. And a third person may be able to weed those people out or keep them in before we start discussing it ourselves or before we even meet these folks. Going back about 8 minutes here, I like the idea of the businesses. My thought was the Chamber of Commerce, but that's the same as the businesses here. I'd like the staff to be involved because you have some valuable input. I don't know where that goes. I don't know if it's in the initial selection process or down the road in the meet and greet or something like that. I'm open for suggestion there. And I think you got to consider PVC. We want this to be a rock solid decision 6 months from now without any second guessing. And they were involved in selecting or interviewing the last town manager. And I think they're valuable input for how we're going to be looking at this down the road. Now, you can't turn this over to 100 people.
Right.
I think if you had like 2 people from PVC, 2 people from the chamber, the businesses, I think all the staff should be involved in giving input. I support having this person help us manage our way through this process.
Well, and I think this survey will go out to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where we will get the input from all those groups, whether they're a group or not, just citizens. And so we'll get that. Anyway, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I was going to say, I think so too. I think putting out this as a QR code will go out to everybody, and I'm good with what Todd brought up. I mean, I'm certainly looking, we need to annex it. We need to have some annexation. So, yeah. So we're talking 2 zip codes, basically. And I think we put that out, and not everybody's, I don't think we're going to get overwhelmed anyway. And I think it's incumbent upon us, if there is somebody like the mayor said, if she was going to contact a few people, to give, we as a council and you as employees and everything, maybe contact some of those people and say, hey, this is out there, please make sure you get it done within the time period. And it certainly should go open to all of the employees. They're the only ones who may be in, we do have several who are in other zip codes other than those 2. But that should be done. I think we're all right. I don't know. I see what you're saying, Harry. I wonder, though, I think we could do 10 each. Then maybe that would be you or somebody. Just narrow it down to just 10. In other words, even if we each do 10 or up to 10, it wouldn't have to be 10.
I mean applicants.
Yes, applicants.
But if we send those to Stacy.
We send those to Stacy, and I mean, it's just a simple math as far as, okay, this one got 6 of the 7.
Yep.
So, and yeah, so we can eliminate it down to 10 there. And I like, the idea of maybe as part of her interview, she has them do a presentation that would be taped.
Yes.
And then we could not have to listen to the whole interview, but get a snapshot of that presentation that they did, which would be possible to do, I'm assuming, right? And I'm looking at both of you on this.
Yeah.
Annie, we could,
I'm going to blindside Stacy, and I apologize. I'm just listening back there, and this is kind of spur of the moment. In order to save money, I've had conversations, because I've done this before, and I declined to help with the process because I didn't think internally that would be right. However, I have a proposal. What if I worked with Stacy on outlining the process, everything that she's done so far? we would propose, probably be email sooner than later, a process and a timeline. Everything from the original vetting process, taking all of your top picks, a presentation request. I actually have an idea for one presentation that everybody would do so that you could measure it equally.
I think so.
We narrow it down. If at that point you feel like then an outside person would be valuable, it'd be less time because we'd have it super narrowed down at that point, then get her opinion and judgment on that narrowed down group, that you take that information into executive session.
I think if we're at that point, I think we just continue. And
And you
I
could
mean-
at that point, but at least save her for a final review if you feel like you need it.
Even oversight
May I
on
say
the
something?
process.
Go ahead.
I like that. I still think the buck stops here, okay? And I believe that we would do a good job of picking 5 or 6, I'm sure, out of that group, maybe more. It's up to everybody's individual if they just feel comfortable with 6, like so far that's what I've got. But if we then, after that, and we get some TV interviews, whatever, we get all the questions answered that you have, if we then feel, nobody can agree. So let's maybe get an outside opinion if we want something besides the public group to help us with that, and pay them to say, okay, you're wrong about the assumption of the having town manager experience and prioritizing that. That isn't the way to do it. Maybe they could direct us as to how to come to a consensus on the top, let's say, 3 or 4 that we want to maybe bring in. I don't know how we want to do that, in-person interview, but I would guess we'll have to bring some of them in eventually.
Absolutely.
And that costs enough that, I really don't want to spend it on an outside person to tell me, I like the 6 that you picked.
It is always good just to have that clean judgment. But because this feels a little discombobulated, why don't we propose a full plan? And at any point, you either disagree with the plan or feel like you need that extra layer of validation, we will leave a spot for that to be inserted.
I like that.
That's good.
And this survey is the first component?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think it's important for us to get that out and get this process moving, because
Absolutely.
honestly, some of these applicants may have changed their mind or gotten other employment.
Always, yeah.
Because this has been going on now for, 6 weeks at least, if not longer. Yeah, okay.
Mayor Irwin, Harry had his hand up too.
Go ahead, Harry.
I was just going to make a comment. I can make it easy. I don't have 10 names to give you.
Just give me the top things you have, and
I'll
we'll
give you the only ones I have, and it's a lot less than 10.
okay, that would be fine.
Taylor.
It's very similar to the point I was going to make. We're talking about 10 names, but if the council published the job description with the minimum qualifications, you're down to like 11 candidates right from the beginning, because either 10 of those candidates did not complete their application fully, or they don't meet the education requirements, or they have no references. And so the list, really, we're saying it's 24, 25 people, but really it's like 12 or 13 if we stick to our job description and what we asked for in an application.
Well, I do think we remember that we asked for a certain level of education or commensurate experience, if I remember right. So I would hate to discount somebody who maybe doesn't have exactly, because there may be somebody out there with skills that we don't, that would fit our needs. So I think we have to be careful just to be
Part of the proposal would be a scoring system.
Okay.
So you guys could come back then and say, I would like to value X higher than Y. You could change how we propose it.
Okay.
From my perspective, I would disagree a little bit. I think that if you can't follow simple directions in filling out an application, I don't want you as my town manager. Or
That's not the part I was referring to. I'm not referring to if you want a master's or a bachelor's degree,
There were,
and
there
they
were,
have experience, you
It'd be
know.
more than the high
there
school.
were a handful of candidates that didn't even have a bachelor's degree.
I realize that, but my point is if they don't necessarily have government experience, they still might be well qualified because you could still be a good manager without necessarily that. I just don't want to discount any potential candidates. I think there's a lot of good ones out there.
Well, may I suggest?
Go ahead.
That we each create our own list, however many it is, and give it to them.
I think that's a great, yes, I hope we've all done that because Stacy asked that of us, right?
Yeah, I did.
And you would need that by this
I was hoping to have it by the
Friday,
end of the week,
at
yes.
least.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Well, let's not do a group message here. Let's
No.
individually
Yes.
send our input.
Yes, that's right.
So we'll put that into Stacy.
By
All of us
Friday.
will have that by Friday, by close of business on Friday.
And then Annie will do the QSR survey, and we'll have that the following.
I might, something else I might suggest, and that is, as council members, if we have questions we'd like to see there, and let's limit it, say, each council member could come up with 2 questions, not that both of those questions are going to be used, but it's something to consider. Is that unreasonable? Okay.
No,
Okay. So we may need to make sure that we have some time for some special meetings as this is progressing. So if everybody could just kind of keep that in mind, we'll do the best we can to get everybody here on those special meetings. And we'll look forward to seeing what you guys have next. You guys have anything else for Stacy? This isn't an action item, so.
What kind of time,
I like it.
did we establish a timeline? Because I think that was the original question.
well, by Friday, I need your list. By November 3rd, Annie will have the QSR survey results by then. And then we will get together and break down the list.
Annie,
I'm sorry.
no, Annie's going to provide that timeline. I think she said
Yeah.
she's going to kind of detail that. I mean, and obviously we'll need to have input. I'm sorry, go ahead. Steve.
No, I was just going to say, if any people who might be traveling, sometime around Thanksgiving might be a good time for them to come for an interview, either the week before or the week after. I don't know, but I mean, it'd be nice. I'd like to see us have a timeline anyway that has pretty much that done, or at least that we're doing it by the 1st of December.
I would-
The final interviews.
The first week of December, I was
Yeah.
hoping, as I was looking at my calendar, maybe the first week, we could get our interviews in.
So, on the list that we provide, I guess we could put them in the order that we prefer, and that might help them decide, whether, if you give her 7 names, but don't say what priority you have, it doesn't help her a lot. But if you prioritize top to bottom and make a tough decision, decide,
I think that we need to have
and that would
everybody.
help her, I think.
I think there's just going to be, these 7 candidates have 6 votes each.
Yes.
Or 6 council members that support them, or however.
Well, that's
they
true.
play out. So
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
in my
She
mind,
could go by
that's-
just the number that show up on the list.
I think that's, in my mind, how it would be narrowed down.
Okay.
Which you guys are all.
That's another, yeah, I guess that's another way to do it.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we all have,
think we're
feel
good.
good about this?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel better about that than.
Okay.
Okay.
Stacy, you've done an outstanding
Yes, you
job
have.
up to this point. Keep up the work.
Thank you, Stacy.
Okay, there's no further business before us this afternoon, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.